Hello everyone, this is DZ Maven here, and it's time for another Gunpla review. And today, I have decided it is finally time for me to take a look at the one and only RX-78-2 Gundam. Now, I've reviewed the previous versions of the Master Grade Gundam before on my channel here. I've talked about the 1.0 Gundam, which I had decorated up as the RX-78-1 scheme. I've talked about the 1.5 Gundam, which I had the Char's Asimov version of. The only ones I don't really have are the One You Were version, and there's a Pacific one that I believe came with the Perfect Gundam, I believe. I think those two came out before this kit. I'm not 100% certain, but I know those were a little bit older than this one here. But anyway, this is the RX-78-2 Gundam 2.0. Now, around the time when this kit came out, a lot of people I know were originally suspecting that the Master Grade number 100 was going to be a brand new RX-78-2 Gundam, but it turns out that wasn't the case. It turns out it was the Turn A Gundam instead. So after that, people started waiting until a 2.0 Gundam would show up. Bandai started with the Gundam Mark II 2.0, and they started doing some Zeta Series 2.0 kits. And people were waiting for a Gundam 2.0 for a while, and are really interested in to see what it would look like and what it would do and what kind of features it would have. And then finally, the time came in around mid-2008, and this thing came out. And this kit is a wonderful kit, I will tell you right now up front. But I will tell you, when the promotional images of this kit first came out, and I do remember this because I was around at the time, people were a little bit divided on the appearance of this kit. And by looking at it right now, you probably know what it is. See, at that point, a lot of people were used to very realistic or detailed looking Master Grades that had panel lines on them, make them look like machines and everything. Bandai decided to take a different approach with the 2.0 Gundam kit here. They decided to just make this kit look accurate to the original anime line art somewhat. And a lot of the exterior of this kit's very plain, very simple, not much on panel lining or detail on the outside, and some of the details and proportions are a little, you could probably say a little miniaturized or very plain looking, not really that interesting. But this kit kind of makes up for it by having one of the most amazing and detailed inner frames in a Master Grade. And I'm serious about that. Bandai, they decided to just put all their effort into the internal frame on this thing and just make it as good as they could. And they succeeded. It came out really awesome on this kit. Now, the general aesthetic of this kit is very cartoony. I admit, when this thing first came out, I wasn't exactly in love with it. I was kind of iffy about it, especially the backpack with the really tiny thrusters on the backpack. Just seemed like sort of like a backstep to me. But after I got this kit and built it and put it together and saw just how wonderful the internal frame was and the articulation is in it, I actually really started to like this thing. And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite Master Grades. It really is. Part of it has to do with the great articulation and quality in this kit, and also because the cartoony aesthetic has kind of grown on me over the years. It's just kind of amazing to sit there and look at sometimes. Just a Master Grade kit that looks almost like the anime line art, but still has all the great features of a modern Master Grade in it. Alright, so let's start taking a closer look at this guy, the Gundam 2.0 here. So anyway, a close look here gets you a much closer look at the general aesthetic of this kit here. Like I said before, it's a pretty plain looking Master Grade. There's not a whole lot of detail, surface detail on this kit here. A lot of bare flat surfaces all over the kit here, but the colors and the general shape and proportion of it is supposed to mimic the original line art of the kit of the Gundam as much as possible from 1979, if you can believe that. But I'd say at Bandai that was their goal here. They pretty much succeeded here. You do get some foil stickers for the eyes here. There's no real clear yellow pieces. There's no LED for this thing like the 3.0. Just the stickers that kind of go in the sensors here. Now, speaking of the markings here, well, I kind of got them here. Okay, here they are. They're right here. I still have the markings for this here. You do get the right transfers and the standard sticker markings for them here. It's your choice if you want to use them or not. As you can see on my kit, I decided not to use them. I forgoed on using those on this kit here. Normally I use them on master grades, but I figure since this kit has such a sort of cartoony look to it and aesthetic to it, it's kind of seemed like adding the markings to it would probably detract from the overall look here, so I didn't use that because I kind of like the overall plain look of this kit here. It just looks good this way to me, so I'm not going to put the markings on this guy. I think he looks pretty sharp this way. But enough about appearances here. Let's talk about articulation here, which is another big thing on this kit here. So the head can move around pretty well all the way around. Just drop the beam saber there, but that's alright, I'll grab it later. Head can look down about that much here and can look up actually pretty decently here, about that much here. So now onto the arms here, they can go all the way around like so here. They can go up about that far, which is, it's pretty decent. I mean, there are kits nowadays that do better than that, but this was pretty good for the time it came out. Inside the shoulder here, shoulder armor can kind of flip up out of the way a little bit like that. And the entire shoulder joint can come out of the kit like so. And this was kind of a big feature of this kit here. I mean, it doesn't have a little flap inside the shoulder here to allow it to bend up, but the shoulder joint will just come out. And this can allow it to kind of bend up a little further here and actually bend the arm kind of almost all the way to the front here. Now, you're familiar with the GM Sniper 2 custom kit that came out earlier this year. It's pretty much uses the exact same frame as this kit here, with a few modifications in the torso, obviously. But again, it just kind of goes to show you just how good the base articulation of this kit was when it first came out. And Bandai is still using it to this day. You'll see it again with the GM Sniper Custom that's coming out later this year. It's the same thing again. As you can see, nice double jointed bend in the elbow there. Bends, rotates at the upper slot, and there goes the shoulder armor kind of popped. Okay, continuing on here, we do have the hands here. These are the 2.0 master grade hands, if you're not aware of them. Basically, you have a 3-finger part that's kind of connected together, along with a individual index finger, individual thumb here. The fingers have a additional middle joint in them. If you want, you can separate the fingers here if you want, just to have a little better articulation in the hands. You don't have to do that, because there is a peg in the hands that's used for holding weapons and such right there. And it does a pretty good job here. One thing is, some people do kind of think the hands look a little big on this, but I think, again, that kind of matches the anime aesthetic for this kit here, so it kind of fits, but I can kind of understand how some people think the hands look a little big on here. Moving on down to the torso here. Now, this kit does have a core fighter in it. It is inside of it. I'll show you that a little later here. Now, despite the fact there is a core fighter in here, there is a little bit of articulation on the chest here. It's definitely better than what was on the 1.5 Gundam. And it won't rotate around too much here, but you can get, it won't really bend forward that much. You can bend back a little bit of side to side. That's about all we're going to get there. Now, moving on down to the skirt armor here. Now, this is a pretty big change from what was on some previous kits here. There are some double joints inside the, I believe, the front skirt armor here, but I can allow it to flip up out of the way pretty well, like so. Now, the back skirt armor here, this is kind of interesting here. The side skirt and the back skirt are actually connected together on this kit here. So when you move this, you can actually kind of move this down. It kind of moves this as well. And basically, this can slide down when the kit has its hip going forward here to kind of help cover the butt of the Gundam a little better here. Side skirt can move up about that far here, and the back skirt can only move a little bit before it kind of pops off. There's no double joint on this here, so double joint on it like the front, so it's just it's pretty easy to pop off if you mess around with it too much here, but it's not really that big a deal here. Now, as you can see on the hip here, leg can move up pretty well about that far here. It's pretty good here. Can move back. It can move back about that far, but if you move back any farther, the back skirt's going to pop off on it. But it's pretty good for what it is here, and you can do a little bit of rotation in the upper leg here. Not a whole lot though, but it rotates more on the inside than this way here. But that's what you get. Knee joint, nice double bend out of the knee here with a nice little kneecap piece shown there. A little bit of piston action on some of the inside of detail here. Again, this is the same sort of internal frame thing that I probably showed off with the GM Sniper 2 custom earlier this year. And again, it's the same leg frame. This is a few additional parts on it, that's all. Moving on down to the feet here. The feet have a very smaller profile than the previous Master Grades versions of this kit here. There is a little bit of a toe bend right here. There's a bend right there in the toe, so you can kind of close it up. Be a little careful closing it back up again. There is a little bit of a bend on this back here, right there. And the whole thing can kind of bend back about that far. Not too far, but it can bend forward about that much here, so you have the toe pointing forward there. And side to side on the foot, about like so on it. So it's not bad for foot articulation here. You can get some pretty decent poses out of this kit here with the foot and the leg articulation on this thing. So that is one of the big advantages of this kit here. It can really do some really good poses here, and I think that's still pretty amazing here. Now there are some kind of additional gimmicks on this kit here. The vents here on the chest, they can kind of open and close a little bit here. Kind of press those down and kind of close them up a little bit more. It's a little bit more closed up on this side. This side's more open over there. Down here in the crotch here, they do give you the, this does open up like so. For the, if you remember that one episode of Mobile Suit Gundam where the Gundam basically, depending on where you watch the movie versions or the TV versions, there's a little film that comes out that kind of protects the Gundam during orbital re-entry, or it basically vents cooling air over the Gundam to protect it during re-entry, depending on which version of the show or the movie that you watch here. But you get that. Only problem is it's a little hard to close this back up once you open it up. I would suggest probably getting like a toothpick or something to kind of press that back in to close it, like so. Okay, so moving on chest here, there are a couple ways to open the cockpit hatch on this kit here. You can do it the old way, which is basically lift that whole platform up, and you can see the core fighter inside of there. Or you can open the little front hatch here, which will just slide up like so, which is a little more accurate to the show. So yeah, those two options for opening the cockpit. Now moving on to the backpack here. As I kind of mentioned before, the backpack is probably the only thing on this kit I'm not a huge fan of, because the thrusters on this thing are so tiny, and they're kind of like, they almost seem like they're kind of hidden in there, but they're in there. They can move just slightly. They're on really stiff ball joints, so you probably won't be able to move those too much here. Beam saber racks here, they can move around a little bit here because they're kind of on ball joints here. You can take these out and just kind of push the beam saber holder into the backpack, like so. Alright, so let's get this core fighter out of the kit here. So basically just pull this up and just pull this kit apart, like so. And there's your core fighter sitting on the bottom here. So let me set this guy aside and let's pull this core fighter off here. Alright, core fighter is kind of in this core block mode. This is a really nice core fighter. This is the 2.0 core fighter. It's real easy. To untransform, just got to pull this piece up. It does kind of help to push this gray piece in a little bit, just to kind of make sure it lines up properly. And it pushes the tail fin up. The front comes out. You can flip the cockpit down so that it lines up correctly. And the wings, they just kind of fold out like so, and just slide them out carefully. You don't want to pull them out too far, otherwise they just come right out. And there you go. There's your 2.0 Master Grade Core Fighter here with a little Amuro figure inside of there. It does come with a clear cockpit canopy here. You will want to do some painting on here with some white paint. The frame on the cockpit canopy will need to be painted. In addition, the white on the fin here on the back will need to be painted up here. I didn't really do that good a job because I think I probably used a Gundam marker for that, but it looks okay enough, I'd say. Now there are some few little gimmicks on this core fighter, if you want to believe it. You do have little missile hatches on the side here. They're really hard to open up. Okay, I'll try with my tool here, and probably a little easier to get this open. It's nice that they kind of include this detail, but it's probably not one of those absolutely necessary things, but it's kind of cool to have anyway if you want it. Anyway, there's the missile pod that kind of opens up on the top here. You can kind of paint those missiles in if you want. I use a little bit of yellow on them just to make them pop a little better, but yeah, it's a pretty cool detail here. And now the other thing here is the cockpit hatch here. It's kind of designed in a pretty neat way, I think. Basically, it slides back into the inside of the core fighter here, like so, which I think is really, really cool here. Instead of just opening straight up like it does on some other kits here. So anyway, there it is open. There's a little Amuro figure in there. Kind of detailed him up there. And like I showed before, his chair can rotate for either core fighter mode or in core block when he's inside the Gundam. So pretty cool feature here. Now the only thing that's kind of really missing from this is that you don't get any landing gears for this kit here. Instead, what you get is a little display stand for the core fighter. So this right here. That just kind of plugs into a slot on the bottom, like so you can have the core fighter displayed like so here. So no landing gears, but you do get this option, which actually looks pretty cool this way. Alright, so let's start talking accessories with this kit here. And this Gundam comes with a lot here. So here we have the beam rifle, the main primary weapon of the Granddaddy Gundam here. And it's a very nice beam rifle. It's a little, it feels kind of big, but it actually fits with the overall look of the kit here. The scope sensor moves around like so here. The secondary handle moves around, pretty nice. And there is some internal detail on here. You can just kind of pull this piece off, pull the sensor off as well. And there's a little bit of nice internal detail on here as well here. Now, there's another additional thing about the beam rifle here, which is really, really neat, and I really appreciate on this kit here, is you also get this. Now, do you recognize what this thing is? It only showed up in one episode of Bazooka Gundam here. This is the Super Napalm. Basically, it's a 4-tube giant missile bomb launcher thingy, which, of course, it's napalm, so it sets things on fire here. And basically, that will attach onto the beam rifle. Basically, you want to pull the barrel off and plug this thing on like so, and then plug the barrel back on like so. And now you have a beam rifle that looks like it has a very massive grenade launcher on it, which is actually really cool here. And to get that back on there, it kind of fell off. Try again. There we go. Anyway, pretty cool accessory here. I love having that on here because I think this looks really cool on the beam rifle. Now in this Nevada, of course, we have the Hyper Bazooka, the standard secondary weapon of the Gundam here. Pretty nice bazooka here. It's molded in color, so you won't have to do any painting on it. It's like the old bazookas on the master grade versions of this here. Get a couple white parts, get a little hanger rack right there. The magazine on this does not come out here. It's just kind of fixed in there, so just kind of leave it the way it is. Kind of see down inside the barrel there a little bit here. Just kind of a void in there. The handle here can move back a little bit for easier posing here. I kind of wish it moved forward a little bit more than this, but that's about the best you're going to get out of that. There is a little peg on here. This is for the various hard points that are throughout the main Gundam kit here. I'll show you those in a moment here. There's also one on the beam rifle as well here. It's right there. Alright, speaking of additional weapons, we do have the return of the Gundam hammer here from the 1.5 kit here. It is a slightly different styling from the 1.5 version of the Gundam hammer here. Again, you get a pre-molded chain that comes with this here, along with a couple of paperclip-like links that go on the ends for the handle, and the mace-like ball on the end to help connect the chain to it here. Pretty nice weapon. I mean, don't really get a whole lot of good posing out of this here because it just kind of sits there. But I guess it's cool to have it if you want to use it for something. All right, next couple of things here. We do have the standard beam sabers that come up with the Gundam here. You get 2 beam saber handles and 2 pink beam saber blades. Pretty basic beam sabers. They have little notches in them for being held into the 2.0 hands. It has no problem holding these, so they're beam sabers. What more can I say about them? In addition to that, you do get the optional add-on part that kind of plugs into the beam saber. This is the beam extension pole for the beam javelin here. Now again, just like, unfortunately, like in the previous versions of the Master Grade Gundam that came with this kit here, you get a clear part for the end of the beam javelin here. Not a huge fan of that because it is supposed to be pink, so you will have to paint that unfortunately here. Just kind of wish Bandai had taken the extra step to make some clear pink parts for this here, but I guess it's better to have it than not have it at all, I guess. It makes for a pretty cool looking pole weapon though, so you can kind of do some nice little poses with it though, so it's pretty neat. And lastly, we do have the Gundam Shield here, the 2.0 version of the Gundam Shield here. It has a nice little attachment point on here attached to the back of the arm, and you get a little handle for holding like so here. The Gundam can't really do a good job of holding it by the handle on its own here because of the way the hands are shaped here. But connected to the arm, it's a very sturdy connection. It's not going to come off or anything on it here, so pretty solid here. In addition, you do have this protective shield for the little viewing port here. You can slide that up and down here. So again, this matches the aesthetic of the 2.0 Gundam here. It's a very plain looking shield, not a whole lot of detail on it, though there is a fair amount on the inside of the shield though, so you do have that. So anyway, here's the Gundam with this beam rifle and a shield equipped here, along with the Hyper Bazooka mounted to the back on one of the hard points on this kit here. So, I mean, posability of this kit is pretty amazing here. I mean, it's only really stiff in kind of a few areas here. I mean, it's not 100% perfect. I mean, I know when they're posing it, sometimes a little back of the these back pieces on the feet will sometimes pop out sometimes while I'm trying to pose it here. Kind of a pain in the butt, and of course sometimes the back screw armor likes to pop off like I showed you earlier here, but overall the overall articulation on this kit is actually really phenomenal here, and this really does, I think this kit when it came out, it really did set the standard for articulation on master grades here, and I think to some degree it still kind of does today here. I mean, I really don't know how the 3.0 compares to this kit here because I haven't built it yet, but I would imagine the 3.0 is probably only marginally better than this kit here. I mean, it still has the core fighter in the chest here, so it probably isn't that much better articulated in the chest here, but you know, someday I'll probably build that kit and I'll be able to do a proper comparison for those. Alright, basically, so the one last thing I kind of want to talk about here are the various hard points that are on this kit here. There are lots of little holes on this kit here. On the back of the arms here, there's 2 hard points on the back of the Gundam here. There's one on the backpack there and one on the back here. Additionally, there are hard points on the shield here as well, and those little slots right there. Now, you can use those to kind of mount the weapons wherever you kind of want on the kit. You can have the beam rifle up there, or beam rifle down here, or bazooka, or vice versa there. In addition, if you kind of want to get kind of weird with it, you can mount the weapons to the inside of the arm, which is kind of a interesting little look to it, but not really realistic at all, but you can do that if you want. And as I mentioned, you do get those little hard points inside of the shield here, so you can stick the beam rifle inside the shield if you want, just like that, or if you want to put the bazooka inside the shield as well, you can kind of do that. Probably a little hard to get both of them in there. You can do that, but then can't really hold the shield anymore because there's too much stuff on it, but you can do that if you want for some reason. Okay, and probably the only last things I can mention here is that you do get a action base connector for it here, so you do have that, so you can have them displayed up on action base if you want to do some additional posing. And you do get a couple of little figures of Amuro Ray. I only actually have one of them here. I have the pilot figure one right here. There's another one that's supposed to be him in a non-pilot uniform, which I don't seem to have anywhere, but I do have this one here. So, but anyway, that pretty much about concludes my review for the Gundam 2.0 kit. I'm not going to go through the traditional scoring system I've used before. I decided I'm probably going to just simplify things just to kind of speed my videos along here. So basically, I'm going to give this kit a score of 0 out of 10 here. Basically, to me personally, I feel like this kit is a 10 out of 10. This is an amazing kit. It's an amazing build. It's a fun build. It looks great. Tons of accessories. Great articulation. I mean, really, there's very little I could nitpick on this kit about here. I know that some people, they may not like the aesthetic of this kit. In that case, I mean, there is the One Year War version of the Gundam, which came out a little bit before this year. That has a lot more surface detail to it and a little bit more of a realistic, gritty look to it. There's that. And of course, there is the 3.0 version of the Gundam, which is a lot newer. Has a much similar articulation level to it here, but doesn't come with quite as many accessories as this kit here, so it is kind of a downside to the 3.0 kit. And I do hear the 3.0 is like really complicated for just a simple Gundam here, so you have to kind of take that into account too as well here. But anyway, I think this kit is an awesome kit here. I give this kit a 10 out of 10. I think this is a great kit here. And if you ever looked at it and thought about getting it, pick it up. I mean, it's actually not that expensive a kit either. This is only goes for 4,200 yen, which is about $37 here. So that's actually kind of on the lower end of master grade kit pricing, even today. So, and the 3.0, I mean, if you like the aesthetic of the 3.0, it's only a little bit more at 4,500 yen. So, kind of give or take or decide which one to look here. I think pretty much the deciding factor between this kit and the 3.0 is just the aesthetic here. This kit gives you the anime cartoony look. I think it looks really cool. I kind of like it. The 3.0 will give you obviously a much more realistic look. So just kind of have to weigh your decision between those two factors here, and also that the 2.0 has more extras, so you have to kind of consider that as well here. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this review here. I hope you enjoyed it. Next review is going to be the gun tank. I am working on it right now, and that will probably be sometime later this month. Anyway, guys, leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Leave any comments below if you have any questions. And I will see you next time. Take care, Gunpla fans, and keep building. Bye-bye.